The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
I'm saying history is made this year. Eight-time champion Jimmie Johnson. I think he recovers from his horrific season last year, gets himself into the Final Four, and wins the 2019 NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series championship.
I'm not going out on a limb whatsoever. I think that this rules package is going to benefit one driver above all others, and it's Kyle Busch.
Yeah, that's the reason I didn't go with Kyle.
It seems like it's too easy, but I think he is going to dominate.
Welcome to episode 135 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Wednesday, November 20th, 2019. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined by the prediction master, my co-host, James Cush. James, you picked the champ, man.
That was, what year was that from?
I know, it sounded pretty, that was the beginning of this season.
Well, I definitely did not follow through on that because I leaned heavy on the Denny Hamlin train towards the end, but I'll take it.
Yeah, we thought things were going to crap for Kyle Busch with this winless streak that he had, but of course he was able to come back when it mattered and get it done. Kyle Busch, your 2019 Cup Series champion, two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion. What about that?
KB, yeah. Good. Subdued.
Yeah.
In his appreciation for his second championship, I don't know, but two times nonetheless. If there's a driver who's, next on the list to be a multi-time champion, I tweeted this after the race. It's Kyle Busch. I mean,
right.
He's the guy. He's the best in the business, and I know it's been a weird year for him again, but he's deserving nonetheless.
I think Kyle's post-race celebration just shows how much of a machine he is, in that there wasn't visible emotion. He did talk on Dale Jr.'s podcast that there was emotion, there were tears in the car, but I mean he has the foresight to think of last time when he won the championship, they put the flag in the window and he did a burnout and tore the flag up. So he took his time going down the front stretch so everybody could get the photos before he did his burnout, and didn't get out of the car and like jump up and down or do much, just kind of put his arms up in the air. It kind of felt like, it almost felt like he was exhausted. Like it was that much work to get that done. Yeah. And we know this is tough to do. It's tough to win this championship. And again, he said on Junior's podcast that, he thought he'd have a few more by now. The two's pretty low for what his expectations were. And his original expectations were he'd like to get 7. And now he's thinking maybe 4 would be really nice in his career. So
yeah, he's watched them slip away and watched the opportunities slip away. And now he's, and then maybe that's part of the reason why, he had a year where he was pretty disgruntled for from day one, he was not. That's your driver. Right. And he had a weird year just mentally, just kind of checked out, it seemed like, from time to time. But, it was one of those, if Denny Hamlin had won the championship, it would have probably been really out of control, right? That would have been the one. But, Kyle Busch, this is all business for him and his guys. They expect to win championships. And I was listening to Steve Letarte this afternoon, actually, on my way home from work, and he said, people can think what they want, but when Tom Brady or Michael Jordan win championships towards the end of their career or in the middle of their career, it's going to look a lot different than when a team comes along and wins that first one.
Right.
These guys expect excellence because they are the best, and Kyle Busch is the best, and his team is the best. He drives for Joe Gibbs Racing. He drives the fastest cars every week, and he's the best driver, so he expects it.
Yeah, and that's something to consider too, is that it's been a little bit since we've had a repeat winner in for a championship now. What do we go back to? Jimmie in 2016, so this, I guess 2 years, but we've had 2 years of new champions, and then if you take that 7th out for Jimmie in 2016, you've got 2 more years before that. It was also new champions. So we've had a lot of new champions in the past 5-6 years.
A lot of one-timers.
Yeah, so this is something we're not used to anymore after, 5 in a row for Jimmie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and I mean we got 5 in a row with Jimmie, then Tony won the championship.
Yep, Tony had 3. If you go before Jimmie, it was Tony and Kurt Busch had snuck one in there. Matt Kenseth got 1.
Right. And Tony's 3rd championship was a little different because he'd gone a while since he'd won one. So you can almost count that as like a first-time champion. Then you got Keselowski, and then Jimmie comes back in and gets his 7th or his 6th. But, that was a couple years off, so there's more excitement there. It's a little different.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, speaking of this, and I know we'll talk about the race a little bit too.
Yeah.
I don't want people. I mean, we have to put the season in perspective a little bit.
I don't think there's a whole heck of a lot to talk about with the race. There's a couple things, but
I really want to take the time to discuss Kyle Busch, and I want to also take the time to discuss the championship format, because I had a thought today too, where I know Kyle Busch's celebration was a little subdued, but what do you think about? I'm not one to change the format. I'm not going down that road. But do you think that we went from in 2014 this whole championship process and this final race with 4 guys duking it out for the title was like oil in a thimble, and now we've advanced to 2019 and it's oil in a swimming pool? It's diluted a little bit to that extent.
I think I agree with that. The stress,
the excitement is waning a little bit.
Yeah, I think the stress level isn't there anymore. It really didn't feel, and I don't think it felt like that last year either, which is I think maybe why I had an issue with last year's championship. Everybody was so excited about how the race played out, and I didn't think it was that exciting. I think it's just that we know what to expect here now. This is expected now. We're expecting that you're going to have 4 guys going for it, all of them with a chance. You kind of expect that you're going to have one that's going to probably be strong early in the day, but then we go to nighttime and that's going to change things. You're going to have somebody that's going to come out of nowhere, less expected, that's going to come up and get the chance at the end. I mean, I think we've seen this play out quite a bit, and we just, haven't.
I think the drivers think that way too, don't you think? That they've made it like the relief is getting to the final race, and then whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, exactly. It does not feel like the pressure. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a ton of pressure on these 4 guys.
Yeah, it's a championship, yeah.
But it doesn't feel like the pressure is as great in the final race in the Game 7 as it is in the rest of them leading up to it, I think. Yeah, I think there's more excitement on the cutoff races than there is in this final race.
Yeah, and I think Denny Hamlin won a Game 7 in Phoenix, whereas this isn't a Game 7. This is like NCAA tournament, knockout round.
Yeah.
One and done, and you go home. It's not when Tony and Carl, because this is modeled after Tony and Carl, right? That was the year where NASCAR was like, ooh, we got to figure this out.
Yep.
But that felt more earned, maybe is the word. Maybe not the right word, but I'm going to say it. It was more earned because those 2 guys went at it in such a different way, and Tony battled back and had to win these races, and it just felt. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of it as a fan too, but
No, I'm with you. I thought it felt different. I think
heavy.
I think the reason it felt that way is because it was new. I mean, that's the thing. This isn't new anymore, and it's gonna become a little bit more new next year because we're gonna go to a different track, and we'll see, and we'll talk about later how that could be maybe better than what we're thinking it could be right now. That will change things up. That'll give it some newness. Like I said, I think Homestead's become kind of predictable in that, like I said, you have certain guys run strong at the beginning, it gets dark, and then different guys run strong at the end. And it's almost like if you're running well at the beginning, watch out. You may not have a chance at the end,
Or you could be like Kevin Harvick, who was probably in a box. Kevin Harvick was probably the fastest car. He had the short speed.
Yep.
But that fades.
Yep.
And who could have thought or expected the way Homestead's kind of played out that we'd get a 101 lap green flag run to the finish?
We've never had that.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. So Harvick and his team probably set the car up just the way they wanted to, and we're probably hitting it just right. Rodney Childers and his guys, but no chance.
Yeah, caution with 20 to go. Kevin Harvick's your champion.
Probably, and it probably plays out different for Denny Hamlin.
Yeah,
and those guys were throwing Hail Marys too. So Yeah. It was a weird race, but I mean, I feel like with the season in a whole, I think the right guy won. He just had a weird, he backed into it a little bit,
right?
With it, but he didn't.
It's kind of hard. It's hard to call Kyle Busch the underdog, but kind of the underdog won this one.
Yeah, but and when I say he backed into it, it's just only because of his race performances. They weren't Kyle Busch-esque down the stretch, but he was the regular season champion and earned, that cushion of points that we talked about every week.
Well, I'll even take your backing into it a little bit further. He backed into it in this race too, being the only guy who didn't make a mistake.
Truly, yeah.
He didn't make a mistake. That team did not make a mistake. Kyle did not make a mistake. They ran a perfect race. And that's what it took to win. I mean, Harvick's team didn't make a mistake. They just tried a different strategy to make it work, or to try and, dig out of a hole that they were already in, and it didn't work. It just didn't work out for them. Yeah. But there's a couple other mistakes that happened. We'll talk about those in a second. One thing, there was a lot of talk this week about and Kyle even referenced it himself about the asterisks on his first title, that he did it without running the full season, and there is no asterisk on this one. I think all the doubters can finally be put to rest on this, that Kyle is officially a NASCAR champion. Under the rules, he has done it the right way.
Yeah, well, and you think about, I don't put an asterisk on Kyle's title. You and I have talked about
I think it's tougher to do what he did.
Probably. It's probably well, the guy who ended up. We'll talk about this maybe towards the end, but the gentleman who won our fantasy league kind of did something similar. So, but yeah, there's no asterisk on his title, but you can tell it weighs on Kyle Busch the way he talked about it. He brought it up that it bothered him, and that's just that he's an all-time great, and guys like that carry chips on their shoulders all the time. Anywhere they can find them, they're going to find them. And Kyle Busch, that's one that you can now tell he keeps in his back pocket all the time. Yeah.
I think the highlight of the championship victory was the ride along with him and Brexton around the track in the final, before the victory celebration. Pretty cool. Kyle said that was Brexton's idea, and he asked immediately, and you could see him talking when Kyle got out of the car and got to see Brexton the first time. So Kyle went to the NASCAR official. NASCAR official gave the okay to do that. They're not a big fan of that, apparently.
Yeah, that's the Keelan Harvick.
Yeah, and that's where Brexton got the idea, Kyle said, because he thinks he saw Keelan do it and decided he wanted to do it. But cool of Kyle to reach up and grab the camera and turn it in the car so that it could get the shot of both of them. It was a pretty cool moment as a dad. That's pretty awesome.
Yep, absolutely. I love the kids getting in the car stuff, because I mean we were kids once and we got to ride in race cars from time to time. I think
we've gotten to see. I think we got to see this weekend in this celebration. We got to see the family man of Kyle Busch. I mean, his celebration, again, quite subdued, but it all revolved around him and Sam and Brexton. And that was cool. That's the side of Kyle we don't see. We don't ever get to see Kyle the dad. I mean, you do if you follow him on social media and stuff, and you follow Sam on social media. There's a lot of it. But a lot of people don't see that. They just see the jerk at the track that's in a mode, and that's he knows that. He knows he's abrasive at the track. He understands, but he's there to do one thing, and that's win.
Yeah, and we always tell athletes to act like you've been there and act like you've been there before. If I could just talk, I could get that out. Act like you've been there before, and Kyle Busch literally acted like he was there before because he's been there before and wanted to do it this way and wanted to do it his way.
Yep. All right, let's talk about this race a little bit. First mistake of the day: Martin Truex Jr.'s team puts the front tires on wrong. Put the left side front on the right and the right side front on the left.
Wasn't it the rear? Didn't they have one of the rear tires?
I thought it was the front, is what they said on the broadcast. But
I thought they crisscrossed them.
How in the world do you do that in the championship race, man?
That's going to go down as one of the biggest gaffes in championship race history.
I think it's going to go down as one of, but I think the second gaffe was bigger.
Well,
because at least this one you couldn't plainly see unless you're Cole Pern sitting on the pit box and happened to notice it as the car was pulling off, which is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, this could have completely cost Martin Truex Jr. the race.
It did cost.
It
I
did.
will go a step farther. It cost him the race because he could never come out of the hole.
But the thing is he still he got the caution, got the lap back, finished second. He still was in the race. If they wouldn't have noticed this, if Cole wouldn't have seen what happened and known when he went off pit road, this would have been way worse.
Yeah,
way worse.
Yeah, he gave up the track position though. That
yeah. I mean, this was the championship right here.
This cost him. Yeah, it cost him the title. It really
somebody's
did.
looking for a job for next season. I'm thinking.
That's got to be. Can you imagine being that guy who moved those tires? Because they had to move them for a reason. They moved them out of the sun or something, didn't they? And they were putting them.
Who knows?
And they didn't stack them right when they were moving. That's at least what I had heard.
Who knows? This is one of those things that if there's video of this or anything, the story that is the Martin Truex Jr. documentary down the road.
Yeah, the 30 for 30.
This moment is in that.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I was shocked. I was watching the race. Actually, I had it on my phone at that point. I was doing something in my kitchen, and I kind of spun around, and I was like, what did they say? What did he do? And I looked at him like, I'm like, I have never heard of that happening, let alone one of the best teams in the championship race. This is their moment, letting that happen. Holy crap.
Right. Now, I was excited when it happened, not because I wanted to see Martin Truex Jr. lose, because I went into this completely satisfied with I was completely satisfied with whoever won this championship because all four really deserved it this year.
Yeah.
But I was excited to see that, okay, he's not just going to dominate this whole race. I still thought he'd come back and win the thing.
Yeah, he was that fast, and he got the one caution of the day that wasn't a stage caution,
right.
And I just completely saved his day there. Not that far after this, but man, I don't even know what to say about it anymore because I just was stunned. Yeah. I was just stunned at this. That is the best crew in the business. Cole Pearn, the best crew chief. That team that they brought over, I just couldn't believe it.
Cole Pearn may go down in history as better than Chad Knaus.
Yeah, he's got to win some more titles. But
yeah,
yes.
He does.
Yeah, he got a ways to go. But yeah, he's changed the game.
Well, the thing is, I'm not gonna go so far as to say Truex is at Jimmie Johnson's level. So
no.
Cole Pearn may not need to win as many titles as Chad Knaus did to earn Chad Knaus status.
Well, we felt this way about Paul Wolf one time.
Yeah.
And he's, hasn't been able to climb the mountain with Brad again yet. So,
right.
But Cole Pearn, I think Cole Pearn is incredible with what he did with that 78 team back in Denver. And now the 19 team, they didn't even miss a beat.
Yeah.
They just,
if you're Steve Letarte, still the 78 team, because he called it the 78 car during the race. But anyway.
Yeah. I love Steve. He's great.
I can't pick on those guys. It's what they're doing is so tough. But when I notice it, I have to point it out. It's like, no, funny. Steve, you're wrong.
It's funny.
So bonehead move for the day until Denny Hamlin's crew member decides to put basically a giant tarp on the front end of Denny Hamlin's car instead of a piece of tape. Like, okay, so Truex's thing happens, and it caught me off guard. Hamlin's thing happens, and I watched the pit stop. I watched the guy put the thing on the front end, and it's like, holy crap, that thing's big. Man, he really put that low on the grill. That's gonna be that might not be good. And then sure enough, he's overheating.
Yeah. Well, that was the call. So that call came from the crew chief.
Right.
And they had, from what I was reading, they were trying to not only add tape, but they were trying to cover up because some of the other tape that they had added had started to fold up. They were trying to make up for some of that while adding more tape.
Well, I think they covered it up, but they covered up the entire grill.
No, they definitely did that. What I didn't like about this was that, I don't know, Denny Hamlin, it seemed like a Hail Mary when you didn't need to have the Hail Mary. It was like a first down Hail Mary rather than a fourth down Hail Mary. I just felt like that you should have. Well, I don't know. What do you think, Eric? Because they weren't winning this race regardless, unless they got a late caution. This kind of took any chance they had out the window, I guess. But if you're gonna try something, gamble. I don't know.
Yeah.
Big
this
gamble.
definitely cost them the race.
That's a big whiff. That's for sure.
I don't know. I mean, you're in Hamlin's situation. I mean, they need to do something.
Yeah.
But
taking the ball out of the taking the ball out of the player's hand maybe a little bit when you put that much tape on there. It's not really up to Denny at that point. It's it's run it till you blow it up, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that it's really easy for us to say sitting on the couch.
Right. Yep.
I mean, this is all happening, and very.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know.
We talked about how subdued everybody seemed to be, and how the tension didn't seem to be there, but it's still really freaking stressful for these guys.
Oh yeah.
So, and obviously, I mean, we had two of the best, make big mistakes. Two of the best pit crews make big mistakes.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't know that Hamlin won the championship with. I still don't think he would have won it.
No,
if that would have gone right. But
he didn't have the day. He didn't have the car.
That definitely sealed the deal for him for sure. So
yeah, he did not have the car today or Sunday.
Right.
It just wasn't. Yeah, I feel bad for him because I think that might have been it. I don't know if Denny gets back to climbs the mountain again at this stage in his career. He might. I mean, he might have another year next year that he gets one more shot at it. But this just seemed like it was written for Denny Hamlin to finally have it. And we thought, I think you and I both agreed, we thought Denny Hamlin this was it.
Yep.
It seemed right, and I just don't know if he's ever going to be able to do it. It's kind of bummed me out a little bit, but
yeah,
because that was kind of the guy I was rooting for. I wanted to see Hamlin get one, but just not meant to be.
So, a question for you before we talk a little bit more about the race, since we're talking about this. Mark Martin's often been billed one of the best drivers, probably the best driver to not win a championship in the Cup Series. Obviously, Carl Edwards is there too, but Carl didn't run as long as these guys. So I think the expectations for him to have a title are a little bit lower. Is Denny better than Mark Martin? Is Denny? I mean, where does he rank?
I think we forget how great Mark really was. Denny only has one runner-up finish in his Cup Series resume. Mark Martin was he was really good, but Denny's also got the 2 Daytona 500s, which I like. I always like the marquee race. I think that leaves something that adds something to the table. But yeah, that's I don't know. I think Mark is still probably the best to never do it.
Yeah, but I think I agree with you.
Denny's right there. And then in today's NASCAR, making the final race at Homestead is probably good enough for me for basically a runner-up finish in the points anyway. So yeah, that's a tough one. That's a good group of guys that never won titles. Dale Jr. was really, was pretty good there for a stretch too. So
right.
But Denny's had a nice, long, sustained career. 37 wins now, and a couple Daytona 500s in his back pocket. So, man, comparing him to Mark Martin, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe a couple more years.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, Denny's really good. He's definitely the best driver currently that hasn't won one, I think, or that should have won one by now that hasn't won one.
Yeah, I'm going to look at Mark Martin's stats really quick because I want to just get a quick look overall at what he did, because what was it, 6 championship or 6 runners up?
I don't know. It was a lot.
And he had one heck of a run for it late in his career.
Yeah.
With the 5 car that they probably could have had it done, but they ran into the Jimmie Johnson buzzsaw. That was one of his championship runs there. Mark has 40 wins across the Cup Series. Man, yeah, he's got a bunch of second place finishes. He's got a lot of third place finishes too. He was in the points hunt a lot, but he went up against Earnhardt, Gordon, and Jimmie Johnson across his career. So I don't know if anybody's faced a bigger gauntlet than that guy.
Right.
Yeah, that's part of it. You got to think about who these guys are going up against all the time. A big chunk of Denny Hamlin's career was going up against Jimmie Johnson.
Yeah.
He wasn't. Jeff Gordon wasn't winning championships when Denny Hamlin started, but he had Jimmie Johnson to deal with. That's one of the things that I've said this to you probably on this podcast before, but I've said the great achievement of Tony Stewart's career is somehow he found a way to win 3 and spanning into the Jimmie Johnson era at the end of the Jeff Gordon era as well. So he found a way to get 3, which is pretty amazing considering some of the all-time great competition he was going up against.
Right. Yeah. Let's look a little bit more at the race. I think that we could have. So we've now every race in this format, every championship race in this format has taken a win to win the championship. Truex finished second, so if Kyle wouldn't have won, he wouldn't have won the championship.
Yep.
It was looking like there might be a good chance that this would be the first year that it didn't happen, because there was this one guy running really well that we've seen run really well at this track before, in Kyle Larson, and then he blows the motor, and that's it.
Man. So it's such as Kyle Larson's life on the old Homestead. Now he can go win the race next year, though, when it's in March,
right?
Whatever it is.
Yeah, he probably will too.
Yeah.
William Byron also has engine trouble, blows a motor, finishes in the back. What else is there really to reference in this thing? Is there much?
Did I see correctly that Joe Nemechek, if you add up all three series, passed Richard Petty for starts?
I don't know.
Did I see that correctly? That might be on J-Ski. I don't know.
I did not see that.
But, yeah, so Joe Nemechek, shout out. There you go. Austin Dillon had a good run. Joey Logano, Eric Jones.
This race is a tough race because really they focus so much on those four guys that you don't see much of what happens in the middle of the pack.
And those four guys led all but one lap, and that one lap went to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in his swan song for Jack Roush.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
All right.
It's tough. One more comment really quick about the race. This rules package at Homestead was pretty brutal. I just didn't like the slot car type action we were seeing out there.
Yeah, I've been a big proponent of this rule package, but it didn't work there. It really didn't.
Drivers were too stable. They were stuck to the track. And
it also didn't help that it was about 20 degrees cooler than normal.
Yeah. And the Xfinity race was so good. I know we're going to talk about that a little bit, but those cars were sliding all over, and it looked awesome. And I had really high hopes for Sunday. And this Cup rules package has just kind of decreased in value for me, especially lately. So I don't know. It was really glaring to me on Sunday.
Okay. We go back to Homestead, as you said, early in the season next year. We do it in the daytime, no night racing. So we'll see with this package. We're going to have this exact same package going back. So we'll see what it looks like in the, not in the final race of the season. A few facts about the championship race this weekend, or Kyle Busch's win, or however you want to look at it. Kyle Busch's victory gets him his 56th career victory, moves him ahead of Rusty Wallace in the all-time win list, which is incredible.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking about a guy, what is he, 34, I think?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Do you know how many second place finishes Kyle Busch has in his career?
We talked about this before. How many?
50.
Jeez.
Can you imagine if he just had a handful of those that went the other way for him?
That's crazy. 9th all time in wins, and he's 34 years old.
Yeah, he's got 6 years of prime left.
Definitely. Told Dale Jr. he'd like to get to 100 in his career, and I think he's got a pretty good shot at doing that.
He's got a chance. As long as he's still driving for Joe Gibbs and he stays healthy, he's got a chance.
He's got a ways to go to move up the next notch now. He's got 20 wins to get to Dale Earnhardt at 76.
But if he wins 8 races a year, like he has been ish. I mean, he won 5 this year. 8 races a year gets him pretty close in the next couple of years. So that's got to be his average,
Yep. You hit Earnhardt's mark, and then you got to go a little ways to get to Cale Yarborough and Jimmie Johnson at 83. And then once you get to 83, there's a few pretty close there that you can click them up pretty high.
Get to Gordon from there.
Yeah.
We thought Jimmy would get to Jeff, and he's not. Jimmy's not going to get there. But
no, he's got to get 10 wins this season. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Couple more facts here. Let me pull up the stat sheet here. Kyle is only the 16th driver all time with multiple championships in the Cup Series. He leads the series in championships in the elimination style format of the Monster Energy Cup Series with 2. Kevin Harvick, Jimmie Johnson, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano all have 1. Let's see what else. One of 5 drivers all time to win both the Monster Energy Cup Series championship and a NASCAR Xfinity Series championship. Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, Bobby Labonte, and Brad Keselowski have also done that. 5 wins in 2019, 17 top 5s, 27 top 10s, and 1 pole for the year for Kyle Busch. And 1 win in the playoffs, which was this one. And him and his brother are the only 2 Monster Energy Cup Series champions from the state of Nevada.
Woo!
There you go.
And they are now tied with the Labonte brothers in championships. So if one of them can win one next year, they move ahead of that crew.
There you go. Let's see. Adam Stevens, Kyle Busch's crew chief. He has won 2 championships now, both with Kyle Busch. He is one of 40 different crew chiefs to win in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, win a NASCAR Xfinity Series championship, but just the 15th to win multiple titles.
Dang.
Has 27 career Monster Energy Cup Series wins, all with Kyle Busch.
There you go.
Yep.
Wow.
Before we move on to talk about the other series, I wanted to look at our predictions from the beginning of the season, because in pulling the audio for the intro today, I also went back and looked at the show notes.
So bad. It's going to be so bad.
All right, let's go through this really quick. Our big gamble for 2019, James's was that Matt DiBenedetto will win a race.
I was so damn close.
It was close. It was really close. Closer than mine, which was that Paul Menard would make the Final Four.
Oh, we didn't say goodbye to Paul Menard.
We did not say goodbye to Paul Menard. We'll have to do that yet.
Oh, play the sad violin for me.
I don't have sad violin. I have this.
There you go.
Is that close enough?
We'll be nicer to David Reagan in his last race, too.
There you go. Let's see. Pick teams to watch. Mine was RCR. Not really. James's. What's that?
They didn't do anything.
No, they didn't. As a matter of fact, they get a new driver as a result. James's was Levine Family Racing, which proved to be true. Obviously ran really well with Matt DiBenedetto and became a big story for next season with Christopher Bell coming up and running that team.
Yeah.
So
here they go. Here they come.
So what we've determined so far is James has a lot better predictions than I am. Pick 2 drivers that made the playoffs last year that won't make it in 2019, and then pick 2 playoff drivers. So James said Austin Dillon and Alex Bowman would be out. So you were half there. In Matt DiBenedetto and William Byron also half.
Half. Oh, 50%. Not bad.
Yep. I had Alex Bowman and Kurt Busch out, so I failed. In I had William Byron and Daniel Suarez, so I got half there.
Okay, so not bad. 25% for you.
There you go. Will the new package work? I had yes, ? James had yes. We can all decide how that is.
Yeah, I think you win that one.
Best race of the season. James picked Atlanta, and I picked right. I picked Auto Club Speedway, which wasn't any better.
Yeah, I thought New Hampshire was probably my favorite so far. I think we'll later in the off season we'll probably discuss this a little bit more. But
that's funny. I think Chicago ranks pretty high for me.
Yeah, Chicago.
It might be because I was there, but Chicago's pretty high.
Yeah.
What will be the worst race? I said New Hampshire. Wrong.
Yeah, that was a good one.
James said the All-Star race at Charlotte.
I don't remember.
You know
what? Yeah, Larson won, and they had the goofy scoops in the hood.
That was a good race. I liked it. You didn't like it.
Yeah,
so.
I was wrong about that. Yeah, I was. Yeah, I don't like the All-Star race.
From your aspect, you were probably right, but not the worst race.
No, it wasn't the worst race. No.
Who will be our final 4? All right. So I'm gonna go with mine first. I picked Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Jimmie Johnson.
Oh boy.
We already know I picked Jimmie Johnson to be the champion, so that was pretty rough. That was a fail, but I did pick the champion at least, or had the champion in it. James's final 4 was Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott. So half again.
Half again. I'm good at halves.
There you go. Those are our predictions at the beginning of the season.
Terrible.
You did a heck of a lot better than me.
Although there's a news item coming up that we both predicted a couple years ago now, or a year ago now, and we nailed. So
yep,
we'll get there.
All right, let's talk about the other 2 races really quick. We had 2 more Series Crown champions. The Truck Series on Friday night, with a delayed start due to rain, crowned Matt Crafton with his 3rd Truck Series championship. Hard to say that a guy who's won 2 championships is an underdog, but Crafton was an underdog. He did not win all season and managed to win the championship. Played the consistency card and got it done in what also was not a very exciting race on Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
Not much else to say there, I don't think, really, right?
Matt Crafton has 14 career wins in the soon-to-be-named Gander Outdoor. What is it? Gander RV.
I don't
Blah
know.
blah 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 blah. Truck Series.
know.
He has 14 career wins in his 3 championship seasons. He has a combined 3 wins.
Wow,
That's incredible.
that is incredible.
That's a great stat.
Goes to show you that this championship format doesn't work in the Truck Series.
Austin Dillon did this. Remember, he won the Xfinity title with no wins.
Yeah.
Also, not long ago.
I'm still not a fan of these guys winning championships to, when other drivers are racing in the series but not getting to collect points. It's easy for me to say as a Kyle Busch fan. Kyle said this week that if NASCAR would let him, he would run for the championship in the Truck Series.
Dang.
And he also said he's pleaded with NASCAR that which he said that this is on Dale Jr.'s podcast, I believe it was, that there's no problem with the Truck Series. The Truck Series is in no danger of going anywhere. But if they were to say, okay, this is the last season for the Truck Series, he wants NASCAR to let him run the final Truck Series season.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's had some deep conversations then.
He wants to run the Truck Series. He's got his own team, He wants to run for his own team.
Well, he wants his truck. Yeah,
he's ready for Xfinity to be done, but he wants to run the Truck Series. So he loves.
He wants to get to 100. He wants to get his 100 Xfinity wins before he quits.
Well, Kyle Busch, if you remember correctly, back when he was running for Billy Ballew in the Truck Series before he had his team, he raced those races for free. He didn't. Yeah. He gave all the prize money to Billy Ballew. He did not take any cash, any payment for running those races. He just did it for the fun of it. He loves the Truck Series.
Yeah.
I would like to see him run the Truck Series full time just to see him run at Eldora once.
Well, you know what? Win a few more Cup championships and then declare for truck points and go run.
There you go.
He'll get there. He'll get his time there. I'd love the Truck Series to become a senior tour, by the way, at some point, but it's never going to happen.
Well, it was looking like it was going to be at one time. And
then, Mark Martin was kind of leading the parade, and then he did. Then he just stopped racing. So.
Yeah.
Dang it.
NASCAR Xfinity Series Saturday. I will have to defer to you, James, because I did not watch this race. I did watch the 20-minute highlights they put on YouTube, though. Looks like I missed the one good race of the weekend because everybody talked about how spectacular it was.
Yeah.
And Tyler Reddick gets it done. Back-to-back wins in the Xfinity Series. Back-to-back championships for Tyler Reddick, and he's on his way to the Cup Series.
Yeah, what did we decide with Ben last week? I forget off the top of my head. I can't remember.
I think you guys all went with Bell, or I don't know.
We had to pick.
I picked
Bell,
Reddick.
Yes, I remember that because I did the. Are we sure we should be overlooking Tyler Reddick? I feel like we had that discussion because dude was on one all season.
Reddick's just good. If you can, we talk about how good Kyle Larson is on the high side. I kind of feel like Larson has earned this thing about running the high side when he doesn't do it that much. I think we all remember his race at Eldora and what he did there.
Joe Jr. was a high side guy.
Yeah, but even Junior didn't do it all the time.
People forget he did that probably at Michigan, and that was one of his tracks, Atlanta.
Right. But, and so I think Larson's got more of a reputation than what's true, but Tyler Reddick really does. He goes and he'll set his car up. When he ran Chicago, when I was in Chicago, I sat there in turn one down on the inside by the wall taking photos, and he literally set the car up. He ran all of practice right against the wall.
Yeah, he just runs up on the high side. He's got YouTube videos on stuff like that too, where he just is up there.
Yep.
Just running it.
Yeah, I saw one where they had the GoPro mounted right on the side of the car, and you could see how close the car was to the wall.
Incredible.
Yeah. So Reddick was kind of
really driver, really good.
Yeah. So he was looking like it to me, like he'd be a good choice. And Reddick also is really good at, in the Xfinity Series at least, of just being there when you don't expect him.
Yeah.
And being in the right place. That's how he's gotten a lot of his wins. And I'm familiar with Michigan where he's done it, where you just don't expect him to be there. And all of a sudden there he is coming around the outside to get the win. So
yeah, he averaged a 6.3 average finish this season. And that is, I am looking this up really quick. Of the full-time drivers, he is 2 positions better than what Chase Briscoe was.
Huh.
And that is, that's just how dominant he was. 24 top 5s, 27 top 10s in 33 races. It's just incredible. He had a great, really all-time season Like if that was a Cup Series season, that would go down in the history books, and it should for this one. I know we wanted to give it to Christopher Bell and even Cole Custer. Cole was able to come out second, but those guys were all battling at one point or another. It was like 3 wide off of 4, and then for a little bit Bell would have it, and then Custer, Custer didn't have he didn't lead the amount of laps that Reddick or Bell did, but he had a couple of moments where I thought it was probably going to be his day, but he just couldn't hang with Tyler Reddick. It was it was pretty much his show.
Yeah. Speaking of that, in Homestead in general, somebody posted a photo. I don't remember who it was, or shared a photo, or commented on a photo. It was a picture of the final restart for the Cup Series. I think it was the final restart coming down the backstretch with the sunset in the background.
Yeah, that's going around. That's
and 4 wide in multiple rows going into turn 3, and it is just incredible. It looks like a video game.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Real life. It wasn't a spectacular race, but that particular moment was spectacular. And I think that's
this rules package was great at restarts.
I think that's what we can take from this rules package. Really, is did it make things better overall? Maybe, but it didn't consistently make races better. But it gave us these highlight moments like that. And restarts at Chicagoland were insane. Restarts at Kansas were really good. Restarts everywhere were really good, but those tracks really stood out. Michigan was good, but not like Chicagoland. I was at Chicago and watching them take off, and it was like a Talladega restart every time, and it would last for 3 or 4 laps. So we got a lot of highlight moments because of this package. I think we got fewer wrecks because of this package, which maybe isn't the right way to go necessarily. But I don't know. We've had a whole season. We've had 36 races to decide, and I'm still out on this thing. I don't know, because we had a good season the year before without this package. So
I think the best racing we've had in recent history was 2014. I think they really had something going, and they started to run away from it a little bit.
Yeah.
But neither here nor there.
It's so tough. Every time I go back and watch a video of them in the late 90s, early 2000s with that Twisted Sister car.
Well,
man, I wish we could go back to that, but you never could. Even if they just said next year, we're going back to that car, same specs, we're going back to that car, it still wouldn't be the same, everybody, because we know so much more about aero and all that now.
Oh yeah.
Heck, you go back to Dale Earnhardt's era with what we know now. Earnhardt wouldn't have been what he was, because everybody knows how to side draft like you go watch an old video of Earnhardt and watch him side drafting people. It just took people 20 years to figure out how to do that.
He showed him the way. Yeah. He was the first one.
Nobody knew how to do it back then except for him. And you watch him, he literally side drafts. He literally would put that fender on the rear quarter panel of the car, put the air on the spoiler and suck that car back. And nobody knew what he was doing, but that's what he did.
We do now. They all do.
Yep, exactly. So
this ties in. We might as well transition to news here just a little bit, because one of our news items is Steve Phelps, thank God, said that they're gonna make some rules changes, hopefully, to short track road courses.
They have to.
They have to.
They have to. Nobody liked this package on the short tracks.
They need to fix ISM Raceway, and in a hurry, because they have a lot riding on that championship next year with moving it from Homestead, because Homestead, I know this year wasn't as great. It's a damn fine venue for a championship race, and it led to a lot of great racing over the years. And ISM's got a big challenge in front of it, and the fact that NASCAR's already looking at it shows you that they are not happy with what they saw last week.
Well, I would say that if ISM wasn't the championship race next year, we probably wouldn't be getting this announcement.
Yeah.
Maybe they would still look to tweak something. They sure as heck wouldn't be announcing it.
Yeah, Martinsville was a disaster.
Yeah.
So there
wasn't a short. Bristol was good. Aside from that, there wasn't a short track race that was any good this year.
No. Nope.
So yeah, and any of these tracks with this package, when they ran the 750 horsepower high downforce package, it did not work. It didn't work at Dover. It didn't. I guess it worked at New Hampshire. New Hampshire, we like New Hampshire. So.
New Hampshire was good. Yeah, New Hampshire. Go back, people, if you don't believe us. But New Hampshire was a dang good race.
Yep. Yep. I remember talking about it and being very surprised that it was as good as it was.
Yeah. The year they took the date away from him too.
Right. Yeah. All right. Let's hit on some other news items. We have a really small news item that we're going to save for last. Not a very big deal, but we'll start with the big stuff, I guess. The one that was unexpected. Actually, I will say this was kind of unexpected at this point because
We had this.
Yeah. Well, it was starting to go this direction, but it really seemed like they were going to get something together. But Daniel Suarez, it's announced this week. Suarez is out at SHR. Cole Custer going to come up and drive the 41 car next season. Again, not a surprise, but kind of a surprise because it really looked like Suarez was sticking around. But
yeah,
and word is that Suarez had the money behind him for the sponsorship to stay around. So,
well, and some people don't realize this, but Gene Haas is in complete control of that 41 car.
Mm-hmm.
That's his baby.
Yep.
And if he wants Suarez out, Suarez is out.
Yeah, he put Kurt Busch in that car without Tony even knowing.
Yeah, Tony was laid up with a busted leg. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's a true story.
Yep.
Yeah, so Suarez out, and I'm not trying to be mean to Daniel, but he had 3 years of the top level equipment in this sport. I'm sorry, man. You can try, and Tony Stewart said he likes Daniel and he's going to try to help him, but he had his opportunity. He had a good chance.
The only place you can go from Joe Gibbs Racing to not take a step down right now is Stuart Haas. I mean, that's the only place you can go.
Get your Final Four drivers at Homestead. Yep.
So this is the nature of the beast nowadays. He had a shot, and I think Suarez will find a place. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see him run a good chunk of his season next year in the Xfinity Series, maybe.
Maybe go to SHR's Xfinity Series, right?
There you go. Yeah, there's an opening down there.
He's a champion down there.
Yeah.
He's gotten it done before.
Yep.
So why not? I mean, if you want to run full time, be competitive, just go drive the 00 if you can. I don't know.
Yep.
Bring some of that sponsorship with you, but the money must not have been enough,
right,
for Gene Haas to even be interested.
Haas doesn't need the money, man.
He doesn't need the money. I know.
How fun is this rookie battle going to be next year?
It's going to be a really good one.
We haven't had a rookie battle like this in forever.
Yeah. You got Bell, Custer, what's his name,
Reddick.
coming over to Reddick, Cheezo Pete's. God, the champ.
We just talked about him, man.
Yeah, champ's going over to RCR, Cheezo Pete's, James. But right, that's it, man. We've got some big heavy hitters coming in.
All right,
good.
This is early. We'll probably discuss this again before the season starts. But any of those drivers going to win next year? And if so, which one? Which one wins first?
Yeah, Christopher Bell's going to win a race.
Think so?
Yeah, they said I read some stuff today that they're going to be the 95 car is going to be a little bit different next year. It's going to be run a little bit differently. It's basically going to be a 5th JGR car.
Right.
So, yeah, they're going to get even more support with Bell driving.
I think Custer gets one.
He might.
I think Custer gets one sooner.
He might. The RCR thing, I can't pick. I like Reddick.
Reddick's great, but he's definitely got a disadvantage being at that team.
He's going to end up being Chris Buescher, winning titles and kind of just being there in the Cup Series, which is kind of a bummer because I feel like that's part of the, just driving for the team that he does. But
right.
Yeah.
All right. We talked about the Aero package. Fox expected to keep a 2-man booth next season with Mike Joy and Jeff Gordon. I don't think this is a surprise because they already said they were going to do this pretty much. I like it. It's kind of a flashback to the old days. I mean, this is what we had. I love NBC. I love their broadcast group, but there's too many guys in the booth. I don't know who you take out. I mean, who do you take out? Jeff Burton, maybe. I guess Jeff probably adds the least, but I like Jeff, so I don't know. I think NBC's got a good crew, but it's crowded, especially when you got Jeff Burton and Steve Letarte that sound pretty similar to each other.
Yeah, that
still,
is pretty fun.
And even Junior kind of sounds a little bit like Burton sometimes.
I listened to Steve and Jeff Burton on Nate Ryan's podcast today. And I was like, "Who's talking?" And then I thought of you because I'm like, "Oh yeah, Eric always says they sound just like each other."
Drives me crazy.
I like the 2-man booth.
Yep.
I like keeping it simple.
Yep.
And they'll have good expertise around. I think Fox will improve.
Yeah, I think so too. Again, nothing bad about DW, but it was time for a change, and I hope DW enjoys his retirement, and hopefully he can find something to do to keep himself involved with the sport. It'll be sad to be at Daytona without him, but I think it's good for everybody in the long run.
He'll be around. He ain't going anywhere.
Yep. News item I missed. Dale Jr. will be waving the green flag for the Daytona 500.
Yeah, he said. What did he say? He's gonna keep asking for odd jobs around the compound every year. That's awesome.
Why? I'm telling you, man. This is why I love Junior post NASCAR, post driver. He's us.
Yeah,
he's us with access.
Yeah, he just wants to do stuff.
It's so fun.
I love that.
I love Junior right now. I've talked about it on this podcast, become such a huge Dale Jr. fan, but he's not in my shoutouts this week. So
he's not. Well, he is going to run. I read on his Twitter feed, I believe he pretty much confirmed he's running Homestead in 2020.
Nice.
So that'll be his Xfinity
nice
Series
early then. That's
yeah.
cool.
So he's gonna run an early season race.
Cool.
Next year.
Good deal. That'll work out for him. It's Fox's half of the
likes
season,
that track.
so it's nice and easy.
Yep.
All right, cool. The NFL are a bunch of idiots, and they're going to try and add a 17th game to their season and move the Super Bowl around again. This is last time they talked about doing this. NASCAR moved the Daytona 500 back 2 weeks, only for the NFL to go on strike and then not implement this. So at least we can look forward to the fact that the NFL probably will strike again, and we won't have to deal with them for a little while. And then who knows if this is going to interfere. I just threw this in here because it's on J-Ski, but
everybody's scared of the NFL. That's okay. It's okay.
I mean,
guys.
they don't have to worry about ratings in Michigan because the Lions suck. So.
Oh man, do we ever?
Certainly don't have to worry about the Lions during the postseason.
Do we ever? We are always down 7 with 2 minutes to go.
The worst.
It's terrible. Yeah,
worst.
We are the worst.
All right, so we saved the little news for last. We did not surprised to see this coming. A little disappointed, but so Chocolate Meyer said it today on Sirius, which he made a real good point. When they made the announcement a few weeks ago or whatever that Ally was signing on for 3 more years with the 48 car, and there was no announcement of Jimmie Johnson signing on for 3 more years.
Yep.
It pretty much looked like Jimmie Johnson was going to be hanging it up within the next 3 years. And sure enough, 2020 will be the final season in the Cup Series for Jimmie Johnson.
Woof.
So, some questions. Have we seen Jimmy's last victory?
Oh, man.
Will he win in 2020?
Oh, man. Nothing shows me that he will win in 2020. However, Tony Stewart figured out a way to win in his last season.
Jeff Gordon figured out a way to win in his last season.
Yeah.
Didn't Dale Jr. win in his last season? Or did Dale
He
not?
did not.
Okay.
Dale Jr. did
That's
not.
right.
Carl Edwards did, but that was a surprise.
Yeah. Nobody knew it was
surprise.
Carl's last season.
Jimmie Johnson has... Oh, man. He has 9 top 5s over the last 3 seasons. Man, it's not looking good. It ain't looking good
I
for
think
him.
he does it, but don't consider the fact that I also picked him to win the championship this year. I will not be picking him to win the championship next year.
He did improve. He did improve this year, though. I mean, there was signs.
Well, Hendrick has improved, and keep in mind, the Chevys get a new nose next season.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that on the podcast? I don't think we did. But the Chevys get a new nose next year.
Yeah, there you go. We talked about it now.
Yeah.
Dang, man. I think his winning's done.
So the answer to the next question, can he win an 8th championship on his way out? That's a big no, right?
There's just no signs that he will, that he's even going to be in the conversation.
I heard Jeff Gordon on Sirius today say that if you look at how they've been running and look at the numbers, it's not likely. But in the same aspect as Kyle Busch this weekend, you can't count him out. It's Jimmie Johnson. We've counted him out many times, and he's come back to do it. I mean, that would be pretty storybook, and it's just not. Nobody's going to win a championship in their final season unless you pull a Carl Edwards. Nobody knows it's your final season, and you're young still. I mean, there's just too much competition. Sorry, Jimmie Johnson fans. I would love it. Man, I would be jumping up and down if he could win the championship next year, if he could go out and win 10 races and just dominate the season.
Yeah.
But it's just not going to happen, guys. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, he's a different driver at this stage in his career. There's just things that he's not able to do that he used to. His team is also not as good as it used to be. He's got a lot of things fighting against him for him to win. But not to take away from, I mean, his goatness. He is the goat. So
he is. A lot of talk on Sirius today about, possibly one of the best drivers of all time. There's no need to have that discussion here. Yeah, we've determined, we've declared him the greatest of all time on this podcast so far. And there's definitely some people even running now, one in particular, that could very well challenge him for that position. But as of right now, there is nobody even close.
Nope. He's got all the trophies.
Yep.
Every single one of them. He got them all. Except for that new Cup Series championship trophy, but it doesn't matter. He's got seven of those Sprint Cups sitting around. So he's doing just fine.
Yep, definitely. So yeah, we won't get into the discussion about who's going to fill that seat. I think it's too early to do that. Jimmy's announcement was just today. Yeah, what's your idea?
I got an idea. He's a current driver in the Cup Series.
Yeah.
He drives Chevrolets.
Yeah, driving he's in the right he's got the right first number, right? Right now?
He's got the right first number, yeah.
You only have to change one number?
You only would have to change one number.
That's really interesting. I saw some people throwing that out today.
That's the natural. I think that would be the natural fit.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, who do they have in the wings?
Go get him.
Yeah. You look at
Kyle Larson, by the way.
Yeah, if you guys can't figure that out, it's Kyle Larson. Yeah. I mean, we think about who they've got in the Xfinity series right now. Anybody who's ready to come up is likely not coming up. I mean,
it's not Justin Allgaier.
Justin Allgaier's not going to do it. Michael Annette's not ready.
He's not coming back. Michael Annette's not coming back up.
You've got some young guys that have had chances, but it's too early for them. So. Yeah. Regan Smith comes out of retirement to run.
Yeah, Rick's got a plan.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. But we'll do a lot of speculating on that. Like I said, Jimmie made the announcement today. Body's not cold yet. Let's we got lots of off-season talk about that. So one thing I wanted to hit on real quick. Jim France issued a statement today. I just wanted to read that real quick. NASCAR history will always hold Jimmie Johnson in the highest regard for his hard-charging success on the racetrack and the way he conducted himself as a champion off the track. This remarkable 7-time champion, through his competitive spirit, immense talent, and sportsmanship, has made NASCAR a better sport, or drove a lot of people away because they got sick of seeing him win championships back to back to back to back. On behalf of my family and the entire NASCAR community, I thank Jimmie for his dedication to NASCAR. And along with his legions of fans, wish him all the best in his final season. I look forward to watching him race for wins and an 8th NASCAR Cup Championship in 2020. Jim France, NASCAR Chairman and CEO.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, I was curious to see when I got word of the announcement today. I was checking my email to see if there'd be a NASCAR statement, and they didn't disappoint. I was impressed. Came out pretty quick, so
yep,
good on them. With that, I think that's all the news this week, right? I didn't miss anything, did I?
No, I don't think so.
Nothing broke in the last hour?
No, we've got plenty of off-season to dive into some big, we have podcasts. Maybe we have an even bigger talk about Jimmie.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an episode dedicated to Jimmie in the off-season. We're going to talk a lot about sponsorship because we're going to get some announcements on that stuff as to who's going to be our title sponsors, because we're going to have more than one.
Yeah, I'm sure when we get to Nashville for the awards ceremony, we're going to have a full slate probably by then, or a couple, maybe one more to fill. But we've got some off-season stuff that we'll be talking about. But that's probably it for news this week. I feel like we didn't go long enough on the with the championship being crowned, but
I mean, we're at an hour right now, so we're doing pretty good.
Heck yeah, the biggest show of the year. So
yep. We still have some championship stuff to discuss because we crowned a champion in the fantasy league this week, didn't we, James?
We certainly did, and it was a hell of a battle between these guys.
I didn't pick drivers for the last race either, so.
Ranger Runyon wins the championship, and he kindly reminded us on Twitter that he did not start at the Daytona 500 and still kicked all of our butts. So thank you for that. Ranger. So, but it was a great battle between him and what was it, Justin 713?
Yeah.
I'm pulling everything up right
Yeah,
now.
good, because I didn't pull it up.
Yeah, no, but the big news is though I beat you, so that's okay.
Whatever.
And my streak continues there, so that's good. But yeah, so Ranger, and it was a battle because Justin took the lead from him for a little bit, but Ranger crushed it in the last week of the season, and you had a good week at Homestead though. You almost won the race.
Did I?
You only lost by 8, yeah.
So my picks from 4 weeks ago did pretty well.
Yeah.
One thing, let me say this to you guys that are interested in doing the fantasy league next year. Give me some suggestions. Send us some suggestions at the superspeedway at gmail.com. Right? That's the email address? I don't even freaking know my own email address.
At gmail.com.
Or hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, or something. Send us some ideas on where we could do this at, because whatever we did last year, I hated. And I didn't like the NASCAR setup this year either. I don't know. Or do we?
You wanted it, you got it.
Yeah, I know. Do we just do our own fantasy thing, or I don't really want to go through the trouble of
think about it. Yeah, we'll have to think about it. I don't know. It's
too
too
early.
early.
Go through the trouble of dealing with stats every week.
I'm
and stuff,
so glad that it's over. That I don't even want to think about next year's fantasy.
Yeah,
league.
I know.
But thoroughly.
I would really prefer just not doing it.
So that'll be the end of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
No, we'll bring it back. Sorry,
yeah,
guys.
we will. I'll freaking do it until I get to the point where I get frustrated with it again.
Yep.
I'm just a sore loser is what it is. I just suck at it.
Yeah, this was my worst year, I think, ever. And that's okay. I feel like I've got a grasp on NASCAR.com just in time for us to switch it next year. So,
yeah. Good. Playoff bracket. And is there anything to update there?
So, I am conceding a tie because our good buddy Todd picked Kevin Harvick to win the championship.
Okay.
I picked Denny Hamlin. So Harvick beat Hamlin in the race. Todd wins the playoff bracket challenge.
Nice. There you
Something
go.
Something else for him to lord over us.
Right.
During the off season.
He's got enough of that.
Yeah. So, yep, Todd wins it. We tied on points, but just like Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards, Todd won the race.
There you go.
So there you go.
All right. Shout outs. James, got any shout outs this week?
I was going to shout out everybody who played on the fantasy leagues and the bracket challenge, everybody who participated with us. I just wanted to say thanks. Even though we loathe it sometimes, it is kind of fun. Something for us to do every week and get some interaction. So I did want to say thank you to everybody for doing that. Yeah,
it's fun. I wish, guys, if you're thinking about getting on board with this, get on board. I know we've got quite a few people that listen. We'd love to have you join us. The more people, the more fun it is when you're stuck at the back of the pack, you know? So, I'd like to get some more people in on it. And I'll do it again next year, even though I hate it.
Yep. We may not be competing for championships, but we're racing for we're trying to be top level mid pack teams here, right. Eric and I. So
yeah, exactly.
We're like JTD Jardy, me and Eric. 37 and 47 out there, just kind of in the middle of the pack.
Yep. Yeah, we're the Haas team in Formula One.
Yeah, there you go.
I got a couple shout outs this week, kind of things. Well, one of them was one that I wanted to shout out last week and completely forgot. First of all, our buddy Baron Speedway on Instagram. If you don't recall, he was on the podcast after Chicagoland this year. I got a chance to sit down and interview with him. Take a look back in the podcast if you missed that. It's pretty cool. He created basically a 1/64 scale racetrack diorama type thing, which is really neat. We've been following his progress. Very cool. He's gotten a lot of traction. Believe I saw Parker Kligerman comment on his Instagram the one day, which is pretty cool. Or maybe Rutledge. I don't know. One of those guys commented on it. But through following his Instagram, he follows a bunch of other people that are doing the same sort of thing. And so since we've given Baron so much credit and coverage on the podcast, I wanted to throw a couple more out here that were pretty cool. So there's a guy named Rudy Bintang, I believe. It's Rudy Bintang _DC. If you go to the show, go to thesuperspeedway.com, check out the show notes. The actual spelling of the Instagram handle is in there. He has a 1/64 scale diorama of the front stretch, or like a couple of corners in the front stretch of Nürburgring. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Dang. Yeah, you're right.
it's really cool. I mean, the photos he takes are incredible. They look like they're actual track photos, and he's done some things with like blur and stuff to where it just looks real. He cheated a little bit because he didn't build the diorama. I think he purchased it, but it's still freaking awesome. So check that out. And the other one that is really worth checking out, Saluting Gecko 51 on Instagram. He just finished a 187 scale version of Martinsville. And it is amazing. It is
that thing
so
is awesome.
cool.
I thought, yeah,
Man, it's awesome. I wish he had more pictures and some video of that because it is incredible. So check those out. Definitely worth checking them out. And follow Barron Speedway while you're at it because he's been doing some cool stuff. And it's got some videos of like riding on board in the cars. You go around the track and stuff. It's just cool. I'm so jealous that I haven't done this myself. But at this point, these guys are doing such a good job. I don't even want to try. And then the other thing I wanted to shout out is if nobody caught it, there were a couple screenings in the theaters earlier in the season, and the Michael Waltrip documentary Blink of an Eye is out on iTunes and wherever you can buy digital video or possibly DVDs. I don't know. I don't buy DVDs anymore. It is really great and really worth checking out if you have any interest in A, Michael Waltrip, or B, the circumstances revolving around him going to drive for Dale Earnhardt and the race at Daytona that, Dale lost his life in. It is really well done. A lot of good interviews, a lot of, stories I think that I've heard. I don't know that there was anything really new there, but a little bit more in-depth stuff. And it just was really good. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to see it yet, James, but
no, you watched it though. That's awesome. It's on my list. I want to watch it.
It's definitely worth watching. It's really well done. I highly recommend it for any NASCAR fan, especially fans of that era of NASCAR. There's a lot of really good stuff on there. Basically told through the eyes of Michael Waltrip and what it's like to live your greatest moment and worst moment within a matter of seconds of each other. So very touching. You'll probably shed a couple tears on it, and definitely worth checking out if you haven't.
That's awesome.
There we go. With that, we put the 2019 season in the rearview mirror, sort of. We will probably be back to discuss some stuff maybe after the banquet. We're going to take next week off. I haven't talked about it, but it's Thanksgiving. And
it's Thanksgiving, people. Yeah. Come on. Give us a break.
We're definitely taking next week off. We might take a couple weeks off. We will do some podcasts during the off season. We're not going to do the Dale Jr. thing and just drop off the face of the earth. But we're going to take a break for a week or two. Keep subscribed. You'll see us pop up in your feed when we come back. We'll try to put something on social media when we're coming back. If any big news breaks, we'll definitely come back on and do a short podcast, if nothing else. We've got some off-season stuff we want to talk about. We've got some things that we talked about last year we were going to do in the off-season. The off-season goes so dang fast that sometimes we don't get to it. But we've certainly been busy. We haven't missed a week now in 3 seasons, I think? We haven't missed a week during the season. So
we haven't missed a race. Nope, we have not missed a race. And
it's been tough to do.
Yeah. Well, the only race we technically missed was the 2017 Daytona 500 because we didn't get started until after that. So
that's right.
We did kind of miss one race, but no, we've made every race. And we do sprinkle podcasts in the off-season. Yep. Usually it's every other week is typically what we've done. We've done some fun stuff before. We might be due for like the Talladega Nights rewatchables type thing. We might have to try stealing that idea and running with it ourselves because we did that for Days of Thunder a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting one. That's one that sticks out to me. If NASCAR tries to fool us with another test at Las Vegas, I'm not falling for it next time. That was a fun off-season one we did this year. So there's fun stuff we'll do.
Yep.
We'll try to keep it light, keep up on the news, but we'll do some different things, not just breaking down races like we typically do. So it's fun.
Yep, we'll talk about some of maybe next year's season plans, which right now everything's up in the air. I don't really know what the plan is. I know basically what my thought of the plan is, but there's a lot of things that have to fall into place to make it happen. So we'll discuss that as we get closer to the new season. Like I said, any news breaks, we'll be back here to talk about it, but subscribe, keep an eye on the feed, and we'll be back at periodic times throughout the postseason off season. Yeah. Meanwhile, James, if they want to talk to you, hit you up on social media, how can they do that?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/TheSuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcasts on there, show notes, links to articles that we discussed. Try to put all that stuff on there. There's some articles from past races that we've covered, some photos on there, some great stuff, videos. I know there's a video of my ride along with Richard Childress at Michigan International Speedway, which is pretty cool. I say that because it was me in the car, so it was pretty awesome. Anyway, lots of stuff to check out there. So if you haven't been to the website, thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on Apple Music, Google Play, and SoundCloud, wherever you found us today. We hope you subscribe and continue to listen. And if you want to become a part of the show and, maybe even be on the show, help us out a little bit, help us get to the track, all that sort of thing. You can do that at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. With that, the 2019 season is over. Kyle Busch is a 2-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, and we are heading out of here. We're not going racing next week, but we'll be back to talk about more. We got the banquet in a couple weeks. Probably a lot of news coming in the off season. And until then, everybody, let's go racing.